I watched Adrian from across the cafe, pretending not to stare, though my heart was already sinking. He waved at someone, that charming smile plastered perfectly on his face. I frowned. He wasn't waving at me. My stomach twisted. Adrian? Who's that? I asked as I slid into the seat opposite him. He glanced up, momentarily startled. Oh, hey, I didn't see you come in, just... A friend. His voice was too calm, too casual. I tried to ignore the cold feeling crawling up my spine. A friend? That's all. He laughed lightly. Yes, really. Nothing to worry about. I wanted to believe him. I really did. I've loved him for 3 years, trusted him with everything. But something about the way he avoided my gaze didn't sit right. Adrian, you always seem so busy these days. Late nights, secretive phone calls. Are you hiding something from me? My voice trembled, though I tried to keep it steady. He leaned back, studying me with that irritatingly calm expression. You worry too much. You know that. I have a lot on my plate. Work, friends, life. I bit my lip. I hated doubting him. But I feel like you're slipping away. Sometimes it's like I don't even know you anymore. His hand brushed mine casually. You know me better than anyone. You don't need to worry. I wanted to believe him again, but the unease had already taken root. My mind replayed tiny details, his distracted books, hushed conversations in corners, disappearing for hours without explanation. Adrian, I whispered. Please, just be honest with me. He smiled, that perfect, disarming smile. I am honest with you always. But something in me refused to trust the words alone. I decided to follow him later, just a little, to prove my intuition right or wrong. I left work quietly, keeping my distance. My heart pounded as I spotted him entering a small cafe. And there she was, Lila, my best friend. Sitting across from him, laughing at something he said. Laughing. My chest tightened so much it was hard to breathe. I ducked behind a pillar, my hands trembling. No. This can't be real. They wouldn't. Adrian reached for her hand across the table and something inside me broke. My mind screamed, but my body froze. Betrayal, shock, pain. I felt as if the ground had vanished beneath me. I wanted to run, to confront them, to scream. But I just stood there numb, watching the people I trusted most, my boyfriend and my best friend, share a moment that I wasn't a part of, couldn't be a part of. Everything I thought I knew, everything I built my life around, crumbled in an instant. I whispered to myself, voice shaky and quiet. How could they do this to me? How could they? My heart ached, my trust shattered, and my life, the one I thought was perfect, was nothing but a lie. I stormed into Adrian's apartment, my heart hammering so fast I thought it might burst. Adrian, explain now. My voice shook, but I refused to let it waver too much. He looked up from the couch, casual, almost bored. Explain what? His calm tone made my blood boil. Don't play dumb. I saw you, Adrian, at the cafe with Lila. He raised an eyebrow, leaning back. Saw me with who? You mean, oh that? You misunderstood. Misunderstood? I almost screamed. You were holding her hand, laughing like we didn't even exist. He shrugged, irritatingly nonchalant. It was nothing. Just a conversation. You're overreacting. I stared at him, disbelief mixing with fury. Nothing? Adrian, how can you look me in the eye and say that? After everything we've shared? His expression hardened slightly, but he quickly masked it with a smile. You trust too easily. You always jump to conclusions. Maybe you're too emotional sometimes. I felt my chest tighten, my hands trembling. Too emotional? You betrayed me, Adrian. You and Lila. How is that my fault? He leaned forward, voice lowering into that manipulative tone I hated. I didn't betray you. You're imagining things. I care about you. You just misread it. You always see betrayal where there's none. I could feel tears burning my eyes. Misread it? You think I'm lying to myself? You and my best friend. Laughed and touched and shared secrets while I believed in you both. How could you? He stood up, trying to sound calm, reasoned. People change, friends grow apart. You can't control everything. You have to accept that. My voice cracked. Accept that you destroyed me? That you turned my trust into a joke? He paused, eyes avoiding mine, then muttered, I didn't mean for it to hurt this much. I laughed bitterly, the sound hollow. You didn't mean? Adrian, do you even hear yourself? Your words, your actions, they're poison. I trusted you with my life. And you, I swallowed hard, trying to stop my voice from breaking. You didn't even care. I left his apartment without waiting for a response, each step heavier than the last. The hallway felt like it was closing in on me. I couldn't call anyone yet. I needed to process the betrayal alone. By the time I reached my cousin Maya's apartment, my hands were shaking. She opened the door, concern etched on her face. Hey, what happened? You look shattered. I collapsed into her arms. It's Adrian and Mila. They betrayed me, both of them. I can't. My voice faltered. She held me tighter. Oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry. You don't deserve this. Let me help you. Let's figure this out together. I clung to her, realizing I needed a lifeline, someone who would stand with me. Maya's presence grounded me, even when everything else felt like it was falling apart. Later that night, lying awake, I made a decision. I couldn't stay. I couldn't let Adrian's lies poison my life any longer. My heart ached, but clarity emerged through the tears. I would leave him completely. No half measures, no lingering hope. I whispered to myself, trembling but resolute, I will walk away, and I will survive this. I will be stronger than him. Stronger than them. For the first time since the betrayal, I felt the faintest spark of determination. Leaving Adrian wasn't just an escape, it was the first step toward reclaiming my life. The apartment felt emptier than ever. I sank onto the worn couch, staring at the wall as if it could answer the questions swirling in my head. How did everything fall apart so fast? I whispered to myself. My phone buzzed. It was Alex, a colleague from work. Hey, just checking in. Everything okay? His casual tone sounded almost too normal, but it was comforting. I hesitated. Not really. Life's messy right now. You want to talk? I laughed bitterly. Talk? I don't even know where to start. Adrian? And Lila. I stopped, voice breaking. Alex's silence gave me a strange sense of safety. I'm listening. They betrayed me. My best friend, my boyfriend, everything I trusted. Gone. I'm sorry, he said simply, no judgment, no platitudes. Just acknowledgement. I wiped my tears. I feel like I'm failing at everything. At work, at life, at trusting people. Hey, he said firmly, you're not failing, you're surviving. That counts for more than you think. His words were small, but they landed like pebbles in a stormy river, making ripples I didn't expect. I spent days in a haze, struggling to concentrate at work. Each task felt monumental. Why can't I handle this like a normal person? I muttered under my breath. Alex noticed. You've been quiet. Everything okay? I'm fine, I lied automatically, though my voice trembled. Just tired. But inside, I knew I was barely holding myself together. Bills piled up. Friends stopped calling because I couldn't answer. Even my confidence at work slipped. I felt hollow, like a shadow of myself. One evening, I walked past a cafe and my heart stopped. There they were, Adrian and Lila, laughing, holding hands, clearly in their perfect world. I pressed myself against the wall, barely breathing. How can they flaunt it like that? I whispered. Alex's voice rang in my memory. You're surviving. That counts. I clenched my fists. Something inside me shifted. Pain, yes. Anger, yes. But also determination. Later that night, Alex called again. Want to grab dinner? Talk about anything but life's disasters? I hesitated. I don't know if I can. I'm a mess. You're not alone, he said softly. You don't have to be perfect to start over. I exhaled. Maybe just for a bit. At dinner, I realized how much I'd ignored myself, my own needs. Alex listened without judging, offering small encouragements. You'll find your footing, he said. Step by step. One day at a time. I nodded, feeling a strange warmth, like the first hint of sunlight after weeks of storm. That night, alone in my apartment, I thought about Adrian's smug face in that cafe. About Lila laughing like nothing happened. I can't let this break me completely, I whispered. I will rise from this. For the first time since the betrayal, I allowed myself a quiet spark of hope. Survival wasn't just about enduring, it was about planning, observing, waiting for the right moment. And the moment I had to act would come. I clenched my hands on the blanket wrapped around me. I will be stronger, I will rebuild. And I will make sure he understands what losing me feels like. The thought didn't erase the pain, but it fueled something deeper. A fire, quiet but persistent, ready to burn the lies down. I sat at the small kitchen table, laptop open, coffee steaming beside me. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, unsure where to start. Okay, I whispered. No more drifting. No more waiting. Maya appeared in the doorway, her brow furrowed. You look determined or dangerous. Which one is it? I gave a small laugh, a bit sharper than intended. Both, maybe. I'm done feeling helpless. It's time to take control of my life. She walked over, resting a hand on my shoulder. Good, but how do you plan to start? I've already enrolled in that management course I kept putting off, I said. I'll sharpen my skills, network, and maybe most importantly prove to myself I can do this alone. Maya's eyes softened. I'll support you. Every step. Don't forget that. Later I met Miss Serena, a mentor I had admired from afar. I hear you want to rebuild, she said, her voice calm but commanding. That's good, but rebuilding isn't about revenge. It's about strategy, discipline, and self-respect. I nodded eagerly. I understand. I need guidance. Someone who sees through all the chaos I've been through. You've got fire, she said. Don't waste it on rage. Channel it into growth. Focus on what you can control, not what you can't. Her words hit harder than I expected. Control. I like that. Maya called later that week. Are you sticking to your plan? I am, I said, determination hardening in my voice. Every day a small step. Courses, networking, strengthening my career. I'm even reconnecting with people I pushed away when I was heartbroken. Good, Maya said. It's easy to hide when you're hurt, but the world doesn't wait. I laughed softly. No, it doesn't, and I won't wait either. At work, Alex noticed my new energy. You're different, he said, focused. Like someone who's figured something out. I'm reclaiming myself, I replied, a smile tugging at my lips. One calculated step at a time, even small conversations became lessons. I learned to speak confidently, to assert myself, and to stay calm under pressure. Every dialogue sharpened my mind and my resolve. One evening, while cleaning out old boxes, I froze. There, underneath a pile of papers, was Adrian's watch, the one I had thought I'd left behind when I fled his apartment. My fingers trembled as I picked it up. Maya noticed my expression. What is it? I held it out, jaw tight. Adrian's watch. I can't explain why I still feel this. Anger. Betrayal doesn't fade just because you ignore it. She studied me quietly. Maybe it's not about the anger. Maybe it's about what you do with it. I clenched the watch in my hand, letting the metal coldness anchor me. I'm going to use it, not for revenge, but as a reminder. A reminder that I survived, that I'm stronger than I was yesterday, and that one day I'll be untouchable. Maya smiled. Sounds like a solid plan, step by step, right? I nodded. Step by step, no shortcuts, no distractions, just me. Reclaiming my life. That night, I placed the watch on my desk, next to my notes and calendar. Every glance at it reminded me of the pain, yes, but also of the resolve growing inside me. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was a strategist, a survivor. And when the time came, Adrian wouldn't even see it coming. I walked into the sleek office lobby, feeling the weight of anticipation and excitement pressing down on me. This was my chance. My chance to reclaim a part of my life I'd lost. Welcome aboard, said the HR manager, extending her hand. We're thrilled to have you join the team. Thank you, I replied, shaking her hand firmly. I'm excited to contribute. As I settled at my desk, a man with sharp eyes and a confident smirk approached. You must be the new hire, Daniel. I'll be working closely with you. I raised an eyebrow. My name. Pleasure to meet you. He leaned casually against the desk. I hear you've got a reputation for getting things done. That true? I smiled, carefully measured. I like to think so. I take my work seriously. Daniel's grin widened. Good, you'll need that attitude here. Things can get messy. I felt a spark of curiosity. Messy? How so? Oh, you'll see, he said mysteriously, walking away with a playful wink. I spent the first few weeks observing, learning the ropes, and quietly mapping the landscape. And then, one afternoon, I spotted Adrian striding into a conference room, perfectly composed, flawlessly dressed, laughing as if the world adored him. I pressed myself against the corner, notebook open, pretending to take notes. He still acts like he's untouchable, I muttered under my breath. But everyone has cracks, everyone. Daniel leaned over my shoulder, noticing my interest. Who's that? My ex, I replied quietly. Adrian, he raised an eyebrow. Ah, That explains the intensity in your eyes. Careful, or you might enjoy watching him stumble. I smirked faintly. I'm more interested in observing than interfering, yet, as weeks passed, I gained indirect access to his projects, his meetings, and his decisions, all without him realizing I was strategically positioning myself. My calm exterior masked the satisfaction growing inside me every time a small flaw in his operation became evident. Looks like someone forgot a critical document, Daniel whispered one morning as we watched a meeting unfold on screen. I nodded, barely concealing a grin. Exactly. He's meticulous, but overconfidence can make anyone careless. Daniel chuckled softly. I like your style. Patient, observant, and quietly ruthless when needed. I glanced at him. Ruthless isn't my goal, just prepared, that's all. Later that week, during a client luncheon, I saw the tiny slip, the micro-expression of panic on Adrian's face when a minor error was pointed out publicly. He laughed it off, but his composure faltered just enough for a few onlookers to notice. I sipped my coffee, my pulse steady. Patience, I whispered. All in good time. Daniel nudged me. You're enjoying this, aren't you? Maybe a little, I admitted, smiling faintly. Not the revenge, but seeing the perfection crack. It's satisfying. By the end of the day, word spread quietly that a key report Adrian had relied on was missing. The hum of whispers traveled through the office. His perfectly curated image took a subtle hit, though he tried to maintain authority. I watched from my desk, hands folded, feeling a thrill of inner triumph. This was just the beginning, but the first move had been made and karma had taken its first step without me lifting a finger. I stayed late at the office, scrolling through files I wasn't supposed to see. My fingers trembled slightly, but my mind was sharp. If this is true, it could destroy him, I whispered to myself. Daniel appeared behind me, coffee in hand. Burning the midnight oil again? I didn't look up. I need to finish this. It's important. He raised an eyebrow. Important how? You mean personal or professional? Both, I admitted, leaning back and running a hand through my hair. Adrian isn't just careless, he's unethical. Embezzlement, falsified reports, manipulating clients. It's all here. Daniel whistled softly. That's a lot. Are you sure you want to dig this deep? I have to, I said firmly. If I'm going to rebuild, I need to know exactly what I'm dealing with. I paused, looking at the documents again. A memory flashed in my mind, Adrian in our apartment, smiling as he promised me loyalty, whispering, "Trust me, I'll always protect us." I shook my head. All lies, I muttered under my breath. Every word. Daniel leaned closer, intrigued. Sounds like someone's really crossed a line. I nodded, and it wasn't just him. Lila, she's been feeding him information, helping him cover tracks. She wasn't innocent either. Flashbacks returned, unbidden Lila laughing, sharing secrets I thought were private, whispering, "He's under pressure, let's help him out." My chest tightened. She knew exactly what she was doing, selfish, calculating. Just like him. Daniel sipped his coffee. You're holding a lot of power right now. What's your next move? I rubbed my temple, conflicted. I could expose him publicly, show everyone what a fraud he is, but is it my place? Or should I let karma take its course? Daniel tilted his head. Patience has its advantages. Revenge can be satisfying, but careful observation can be even stronger. I exhaled slowly. Yes. Patience. I'll let him make mistakes, let him stumble. And when he does, I'll be ready. Calm, collected. No rash moves. Daniel nodded approvingly. You've grown. I can see it. The fire is there, but you've tempered it with strategy. I turned back to the files, scanning for more evidence. Every email, every falsified contract, every secret transfer revealed a pattern of arrogance and greed. I felt a strange sense of satisfaction mixed with disgust. Imagine how he'll react when everything starts unraveling, I whispered, a faint smile tugging at my lips. He won't see it coming. Not yet. Daniel chuckled quietly. It's almost poetic, in a way. Karma without intervention. You've set the stage perfectly. I leaned back in my chair, thinking about my moral dilemma. Do I confront him now, or wait until the timing is flawless? My own voice echoed in my mind. Patience. Every move counts. Don't ruin it with emotion. Finally, I shut the files, determination hardening inside me. I'll wait, I'll watch. And when the moment comes, the truth will speak louder than I ever could. Daniel glanced at me. You're not just surviving anymore, you're orchestrating. Beautifully calculated. I let out a quiet laugh, bitter but empowered. Not beautiful, necessary. And when it's done, nothing will feel wasted. Not the betrayal, not the pain. Not a single second of it. The office lights dimmed, leaving only the glow of my screen illuminating the evidence of his deceit. I stared at it, my mind calm, my resolve absolute. Patience would be my weapon. I met Alex at our usual cafe, a quiet corner where we could talk without interruptions. "You're serious about this," he said, stirring his coffee. "I have to be," I replied, leaning forward. "I can't just watch Adrian keep thriving while everything he did to me goes unnoticed." Alex nodded slowly. "So, what's the plan?" "I need allies," I said, lowering my voice. "People who can move quietly, influence things behind the scenes without him suspecting." He raised an eyebrow. "Like a secret army?" "Not exactly," I smiled faintly. "More like strategic support. Someone with resources and insight." "Someone like you," Alex grinned. "I like the sound of that." "But we need more than me." I leaned closer. "I've been in touch with a rival businessman, Mr. Carrington. He's had a complicated relationship with Adrian. I think he'd be willing to help if it's discreet." Alex whistled softly. "Risky but effective. Are you sure you can trust him?" "No one is fully trustworthy," I admitted. "But I can control the variables." "We'll move carefully, step by step." We spent the next hour discussing possibilities, contingency plans, and observing Adrian's patterns. Every small disturbance in his routine became a potential opportunity. "Notice how he flinched when his assistant mentioned the missing report?" I asked. Alex nodded. "Yes, subtle, but it shows cracks." "That's your window?" I smiled faintly, feeling a rush of satisfaction. "Exactly. Patience. Observation. Timing." Later that week, while going through an old box of keepsakes, I found a bundle of Adrian's love letters, careless remnants of our past. I hesitated, holding them in my hands, memories of laughter, promises, and trust flooding back. Maya noticed my expression. "Old letters?" "Yes," I said softly. "They remind me of everything I lost and everything I need to regain." "It's fuel." She reached for my hand. "Don't let them hurt you. Let them guide you." I nodded, sliding the letters back into the box. "I will. They're a reminder, not a chain." The next day, subtle shifts began to happen in Adrian's office. A misfiled document here, a delayed message there. He frowned at minor disruptions, frustration flashing across his features. I watched quietly, hidden behind my calm exterior. "Looks like your plan is working," Alex whispered during lunch. "I wouldn't call it a plan yet," I said. "Just the beginning." But seeing him notice, "It's proof that patience and preparation are powerful," Alex smiled. "You've grown since all this started." "Stronger, smarter." I allowed myself a small smile. I still hurt, every day. But I'm learning to channel it, not be controlled by it. By the end of the day, I realized something. With the right allies, careful observation, and strategic patience, I could influence events without Adrian suspecting a thing. Every tiny disruption became a symbol of my growing power, each step bringing me closer to reclaiming what was taken from me. I closed my notebook, fingers brushing over the page where I'd mapped Adrian's vulnerabilities. "The stage is set," I whispered. "And soon he'll see what it feels like to lose control." I watched from my office window as Adrian paced in his boardroom, his expression tight, controlled chaos barely hidden behind a forced smile. "I don't understand," he muttered into the phone. "How did the Johnson deal fall through?" "Everything was set." I smirked slightly, leaning back in my chair. "Patience," I reminded myself. Every misstep, every crack was part of the plan. Later, I overheard a colleague whispering, "Did you hear about the rumors going around? Something about mismanagement and missing funds?" Adrian's voice rang out in the hallway, angry and strained. "Who started that? Tell me who's spreading lies." I sipped my coffee calmly, heart steady. No one suspected I had nothing to do with the whispers. They were natural consequences, carefully nudged by subtle leaks and indirect influence. Daniel leaned over my desk. "You're enjoying this a little too much, aren't you?" I smiled faintly. "Not enjoying, observing, there's a difference. Watching him crumble. It's justice, not glee." The next day, Adrian's assistant arrived flustered. "Sarah, the client meeting was canceled. Multiple investors pulled out." He ran a hand through his hair. "How?" "Everything was ready, everything." His voice cracked just slightly, enough for anyone paying attention to notice the tension. I remembered a conversation from months ago back when we were still together. He had leaned close, smiling that arrogant smile. "No one can touch me, you'll see." "I'm untouchable." "Untouchable?" I whispered, shaking my head. "You underestimated me," I muttered quietly, fingers brushing over my notebook where I tracked his vulnerabilities. Even his friends began to drift. I heard him arguing over the phone. "Why aren't you answering?" "I thought we had an understanding," Daniel smirked. "Looks like the cracks are becoming visible." "He didn't expect you'd be watching." "I didn't just watch," I said softly. "I prepared, every step, every move calculated." He set this up for himself. That evening, Adrian stormed past my office, muttering under his breath, "I don't get it. Everything should be perfect." "Why is nothing working?" I leaned back, smiling faintly. "Because perfection is an illusion," I whispered. And he never saw me as a threat. A flashback hit me, Adrian leaning over me, whispering sweetly, "You'll never understand business like I do." I let out a quiet laugh. "I understand now. Better than you ever imagined." Meanwhile, subtle messages continued. Investors were reminded of mismanaged funds. Contracts delayed just enough, rumors of internal disputes floated in the right circles. Each small disruption was magnified in his perception, building panic where confidence once reigned. Alex called later. "You're relentless. How do you stay so calm?" "Calm is power," I said. I let him unravel himself while I observe. Every slip, every flinch proves my patience was worth it. By the end of the week, Adrian's image was no longer untouchable. A minor boardroom confrontation leaked to the press made headlines. He smiled for the cameras, but the tension in his eyes betrayed everything. I sipped my coffee, notebook open, tracking each event. Satisfaction didn't come from direct confrontation. It came from justice served silently, indirectly, perfectly. "Step by step," I whispered, "and soon he'll realize how completely he misjudged me." I watched from the back of the conference hall, a calm observer as Adrian stumbled through his presentation. Investors whispered, glances sharp, eyes questioning his competence. His flawless facade was cracking. "This is unacceptable." Adrian snapped at his assistant, voice trembling. "How could this happen?" I had everything prepared. I pressed my hands together lightly, hiding the satisfaction curling in my chest. "Patience pays off," I reminded myself. Leela approached him, panic evident. "Adrian, maybe we can fix it? I'll call the clients." He turned to her, anger and desperation mingling. "You? You caused this. You thought it would be funny, didn't you?" Mocking me behind my back. Her eyes widened, guilt flashing across her face. I didn't mean." "Didn't mean?" He shouted, voice cracking. "Everything is falling apart because of you." I stayed silent, my heart steady. I didn't need to intervene. Their confrontation spoke louder than any words I could have said. One of Adrian's board members whispered to another, "I never realized how fragile his empire was." "He seems unprepared." I glanced at Alex, standing beside me. He raised an eyebrow. "It's working. He can't keep it together." "I know," I said quietly. "And he doesn't even realize it's his own arrogance that's undoing him." Meanwhile, Lila's posture slumped, the weight of her choices finally sinking in. I should have stopped this," she murmured, voice barely audible. "I helped him. I let him, he realized too late," I whispered to myself. "Exactly as it should be." Adrian's phone rang incessantly. Calls from investors, partners, and even old friends. His face paled. "No, this can't be happening." One of the junior associates leaned toward me, whispering, "It's brutal to watch, but she's handled herself perfectly. Calm, collected, very impressive." I smiled faintly. "Thank you," I said softly, though my attention remained on the chaos unfolding. Across the hall, some former colleagues avoided his gaze, ashamed they hadn't warned me or intervened earlier. Others, like Daniel, looked inspired, a glimmer of admiration in their eyes. "Strength comes in silence," he whispered. I nodded. Sometimes silence is louder than action. Sometimes patience is stronger than force. Adrian's voice grew desperate. "Lila, why didn't you stop this? Why didn't anyone tell me the truth?" Lila lowered her head, tears in her eyes. I was afraid. Afraid of losing you. Afraid of being blamed. I should have been honest. You all underestimated me, I murmured quietly, watching him unravel. And now you see what happens when trust is abused, when arrogance blinds judgment. A few investors quietly left, murmuring to one another about mismanagement and instability. Adrian's power diminished visibly with every passing second. I straightened in my chair, composure intact. No triumphal words were necessary. Karma had spoken, and I was merely the observer of the justice that unfolded. As the hall emptied, I felt a wave of clarity wash over me. My heart ached less, my strength solidified. This was my victory not in noise or confrontation, but in patience, strategy, and the quiet mastery of my own emotions. The room was tense when I walked in, Adrian standing rigid in the center, Lila hovering nervously beside him. I took a deep breath, forcing calm into my limbs. Why are you here? Adrian's voice was tight, almost defensive. I thought you were done. I am done, I said softly, letting my gaze sweep over both of them. Done being silent. Done pretending everything was okay. Lila flinched. Please, save it, Lila, I interrupted, my voice firm but controlled. You had your chance to be honest. You chose betrayal instead. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Betrayal? You think I betrayed you? I did what I had to do. Business, survival? I shook my head slowly. You didn't just betray me. You betrayed trust, love, and friendship. You thought your charm would cover every lie, every manipulation. But it didn't. Lila's shoulders slumped, tears threatening. I was scared. I didn't know how to tell you. Scared? I asked sharply. Scared of losing him? You think that excuses undermining me, sharing secrets, feeding his arrogance? Adrian's jaw tightened. I thought you'd understand. I thought you'd forgive me like always. I let out a quiet laugh, one that held years of pain and clarity. Forgive you? No, forgiveness isn't mine to give this time. I've grown beyond that. I'm not the same person you underestimated. He stepped closer, desperation rising in his voice. We can fix this. Please, let's talk, find a way. I shook my head, eyes steady. No, there is no way to fix what was broken by lies. I don't need justification. I don't need apologies. I needed honesty, and you failed. Lila sobbed quietly, voice trembling. You didn't think, I said, letting the words sink in. That's the point. You acted selfishly, without regard for the consequences. And now you're both facing them. Adrian's face twisted in anger. You think you're better than me? Stronger? You think you can walk away like nothing happened? I am stronger, I admitted, my voice steady. Not because I hurt you back, not because I plotted revenge. I'm stronger because I survived, because I reclaimed myself, because I refused to let your betrayal define me. Daniel's words from weeks ago echoed in my mind. Patience, strategy, calm. I held to that now, letting my inner clarity shine through every measured word. You'll realize one day, Adrian spat, voice breaking slightly, that you needed me, that I was. Necessary. I smiled faintly, sadness and triumph mingling. Necessary? No, I needed myself. I always had. And now I know I can thrive without the weight of your lies, without Lila's fear guiding my life. Lila's tears fell freely, regret clear in her eyes. I'm so sorry. I shook my head, not cruelly, but with finality. Sorry doesn't repair what's lost. You'll live with your choices. I'll live with mine. That's enough justice. Adrian's shoulders slumped, the anger fading into realization, but it was too late. My victory wasn't in humiliation, it was in clarity and freedom, in reclaiming myself from the wreckage they created. I took a step back, letting the weight of the moment settle. This is the end of our story, I said softly. I walk away, calm, unshaken, and finally whole. You'll remember me not as someone who begged for forgiveness, but as someone who grew stronger, who survived, and who chose herself. Without another word, I turned and walked out, the finality of my steps echoing louder than any confrontation could. I was free. I stepped out of the building, the afternoon sun warming my face. Adrian's empire, once untouchable, was crumbling behind me, but I didn't look back. Not today. Not ever. Maya's voice came through my phone. Are you okay? I am, I replied, smiling faintly. More than okay, I'm free. She laughed softly, relief in her tone. I've watched you transform. You're not the same person who doubted herself in that cafe months ago. No, I admitted. I've changed. I've learned. And I finally understand what it means to trust myself before anyone else. Alex called next. I heard the news. Adrian, Lila. Everything. You handled it brilliantly. I did what I had to, I said. Not for revenge, not for satisfaction, but for closure. And to prove I could stand on my own. I walked through the park, the watch I had found months ago in my bag, its metal cold against my fingers. It was a symbol now of pain, betrayal, and the strength I gained. I ran my thumb over it gently. You're just a reminder of what I survived, I whispered softly. Maya's voice was warm in my ear. That watch. It's like a milestone. Proof that you're stronger than anyone ever gave you credit for. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. Exactly. It's not about holding on to anger. It's about remembering lessons and moving forward. Alex laughed quietly. You sound peaceful. I mean that in the best way. Calm, collected, unstoppable. Calm is power, I said softly. I realized that strength isn't about confrontation or control over others. It's about mastering yourself, your emotions, your choices. I passed a bench, children playing nearby, laughter filling the air. I smiled genuinely for the first time in months, letting the moment settle in me. Life was continuing, indifferent to Adrian, to Lila, to past heartbreaks. And I was finally ready to continue too. Maya's voice returned, playful now. So what's next for you? New adventures, new challenges? I paused, looking at the horizon. Everything I want, I'm done surviving. I'm ready to live. Not haunted by what was lost, but empowered by what I've gained. Alex's tone softened. I'm proud of you, really. You turned betrayal into strength, heartbreak into clarity. I laughed lightly, a sound free from bitterness. Thank you. It's taken time, patience, and self-reflection, but it's worth it. I finally understand my own value. I stopped near a fountain, the water sparkling under the sunlight. I held the watch in my hand one last time, then gently placed it on the stone edge, a symbolic gesture of letting go. Goodbye, I whispered. Maya's voice, warm and unwavering, said, walk away knowing you've earned your peace. I nodded, shoulders straight, steps steady. Every moment of doubt, every tear, every silent struggle had led me here. I was calm, I was powerful, and I was free. And as I walked forward, leaving Adrian and the ruins of his world behind, I felt a sense of satisfaction deeper than any vengeance could offer. Karma had its course, but I had my peace. The morning sun poured through my apartment windows, golden and warm, as if welcoming a life I had finally earned. I sipped my coffee, savoring the calm that had been absent for so long. Maya's voice buzzed through my phone. Good morning, superstar. How's my favorite unstoppable woman today? I laughed softly. I'd say unstoppable, but peaceful fits better. I feel balanced, like I finally have control over my own life. Finally, huh? She teased. I've seen you work miracles these past months. Your confidence, your decisions. You've grown so much. I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. I've learned that trust starts with yourself. Everything else comes after. Daniel popped up for a quick video call. I just saw your project proposal accepted. Congrats, you're setting a new standard. Thanks, I said, smiling genuinely. It feels good to succeed on my own terms. No shadows, no distractions. Just me, my team, and the work I believe in. Alex texted later. Dinner tonight? Celebrate your rise? I replied instantly, absolutely. A toast to moving forward and not looking back. At work, I met new colleagues, faces bright with curiosity and enthusiasm. One of them, Sarah, said, I've heard so much about you. Your leadership style is inspiring. How do you keep it so calm and composed? I smiled, keeping my tone humble. I focus on patience, clarity, and respect. I let my actions define me, not the mistakes of others. Everyone deserves a chance to thrive. Later, I checked my inbox and found a message from a former colleague who had avoided me during Adrian's fall. I owe you an apology, it read. I should have spoken up, helped, or warned you. I see now the strength you had all along. I paused, thinking carefully, then typed, Thank you. No one can change the past, but we can learn from it. I forgive and wish you well. Maya and I went for a walk in the park, laughter filling the air. You're glowing, she said. Truly, I am, I admitted. I've reclaimed myself, and the freedom feels incredible. I don't need anyone else's validation anymore. Alex joined us later. I've never seen you so grounded. You're an example of how to transform pain into power. I smiled at both of them. It wasn't easy, but every setback, every betrayal, every heartbreak shaped me. I'm stronger because of it. As we watched children play and couples stroll by, I realized that life had shifted. The chaos, the heartbreak, the manipulations, they were behind me. Every symbolic object, every lesson learned, every ally I found had built a foundation for my future. Here's to new beginnings, Maya said, raising an imaginary toast. To choices made wisely, I added, echoing her sentiment. To trust rebuilt and strength discovered. The breeze carried warmth and light wrapping around us. I felt at peace, finally, with no lingering doubts. I whispered to myself, this is my world now. I choose my path, my happiness, and my future. I've survived, I've grown, and I've thrived. A new dawn is here, and with that I walked forward, fully embracing every opportunity, every friendship, every challenge, and every triumph that awaited me.